Greetings, this is Hope the Builder with some timeless wisdom. I want to talk to you about Canadian foreign policy right now as we're entering a federal election here on Turtle Island in Canada. Turtle Island is how the First Nations, the Indigenous people refer to the land of Indigenous peoples, and it's important that in the context of the genocide of Indigenous peoples, the violence against Indigenous women, the ongoing colonialism, neo-colonialism that's going on, it's important to focus on Indigenous rights, uh, to serving Indigenous people and respecting their rights and allowing them to determine their own affairs, to support Indigenous self-determination. And it's important to remember that, Indigenous people had a very peaceful relationship with other nations. For starters, the border, for example, between Canada and the US is completely artificial. All the borders really are artificial, especially in the Americas. They themselves are also a product of colonialism and imperialism. But they had, a nation-to-nation understanding that we share the land, we share resources, we cooperate. Everybody gets to eat. Everybody gets a place to stay. That's the Indigenous way, and I feel that, in terms of foreign policy, I think we have a lot to learn from Indigenous peoples, how to, respect the internal affairs of other nations. For example, right now, my hometown of Ottawa, which is on Anishinaabe territory, unceded, unsurrendered. The federal government here is spearheading an illegal, immoral, and imperial effort to remove the duly democratically elected government of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. And it's just so blatant, it's so illegal, it's unbelievably incompetent just because of the glaring contradictions, the fact that they basically appointed this Guaido dude no one's never heard of to be president of Venezuela a while back, and he's consistently failed to do a coup, and now these fascist Western governments are stuck in an embarrassing situation because Maduro is still very much in charge. Situation is very, very tough in Venezuela because of the illegal, immoral, cruel, and evil U.S. sanctions, which is crippling the Venezuelan economy, crippling other economies. It's just disgusting, you know what I mean? And the contradictions are enormous because on one minute, Trudeau, denounces Trump for his racist and ignorant tweets, while on the other hand, he himself is promoting a racist, fascist, colonial, imperial policy to try to illegally remove a government in Venezuela that is simply wanting to serve the Venezuelan people. The majority of the people, which happen to be people of color, happen to be indigenous Venezuelans, Afro-Venezuelans, right? And he's clearly, Trudeau and his fascist cabal have clearly sided with the oligarchy there, the rich in Venezuela, who identify more with Europe than they do with the land of the Americas. And so it's just absolutely disgusting, and I'm quite frankly just sick and tired of the liberal hypocrisy, and I'm really hopeful, and I'm confident that we will vote them out and vote out all the fascists because they're criminals and they need to be behind bars for war crimes, crimes against humanity, crimes against peace, because threatening to attack another country, threatening to do a coup is illegal. It's illegal under international law. if Maduro were to suddenly, you know, uh, try to support leftists in Canada to overthrow Trudeau. If Maduro in Venezuela were trying to do a regime change in Canada, here we would be calling that criminal and against international law. So we need to return to international law. We need to respect the sovereignty of other nations. We need to respect the rights of the Venezuelan people to deal with their own affairs. No one is saying Maduro is perfect, but I, for one, strongly support the Bolivarian socialist revolution in Venezuela. I feel we need our own Bolivarian socialist revolution here on Toro Island, led by indigenous peoples, and that's what we're doing. So I'm going to be supporting, I strongly support Jagmeet Singh to be Prime Minister. I feel he'll make a great Prime Minister. And got election coming up. I think it's October 21st. I'm going to vote. I hope you're going to vote. We got to vote them all out. All the corporate liberals, the fascist conservatives. I'm just sick and tired of this Coca-Cola, Pepsi so-called choice. It's a scam. It's a fraud. It's a choice between Pepsi and Coca-Cola. They taste the same to me. Now, although I'd prefer a strong NDP majority filled with democratic socialists, we'll see what happens. Anything's possible with first past the post. That's what I'm hoping for. But at a minimum, we can get, some sort of progressive, perhaps coalition government, perhaps NDP Green coalition government, perhaps including some progressive liberals, the ones that don't get voted out, because 100% the liberals are going to lose seats. Who's going to lose their seats? Who's going to lose their seats? So, I feel that, progressive coalition government is likely, and I feel that it would be the best outcome, really, or a second best outcome. The first being a socialist majority government. But I'll take a progressive coalition government that's for the right to housing, so for maintaining this National Housing Strategy Act that we were able to pass recently. So building homes, building co-op housing, ending homelessness, enforcing a Green New Deal, investing in green energy, renewable energy, free energy, transit, free transit, pharmacare, promoting peace, hands off Venezuela, motherfucker, and removing the fascists and locking them up. Lock him up. And getting Canada out of NATO too, because NATO is just bullshit, honestly. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about Trudeau trying to talk or negotiate with Trump. That motherfucker needs to get impeached, okay? And that's that, man. Gotta, vote in some socialists, remove the fascists, and build a Green New Deal today. You know what I mean? Because we need a basic income. We need to free the land. We need to grow our own food. We need to build our own, cooperatives, housing cooperatives, all kind of cooperatives. Because the future's today. The time is now. Let's get the job done. Timeless wisdom with Hope the Builder. Amahoro.